Now, I've loved Star Trek for as long as I can remember, back to when I was a very small child watching it and being just amazed at the sci-fi, at the characters, at just about everything. And that love stuck with me right through my early years, right up until when Enterprise finished. And yes, I did really like Enterprise, including the first two seasons. I even thought the 2009 film wasn't too bad and really appreciated the fact that they separated it out from the Prime universe. So to say I was excited when they announced a brand new Star Trek series after like a decade or so of not having any Trek whatsoever, bar the Kelvin films, which beyond 2009 I'm not going to talk about. Into Darkness sucked. But then Discovery finally came out and I gave it a go and I really didn't like it. I know there are groups of people out there who do like it and that's fine, but I really didn't. It didn't feel like what Star Trek was to me. And I'm not one of these people to just go and watch everything with the name of a franchise I like. I mean, maybe I'll tell you my opinions on the rebooted Battlestar Galactica one day. It's not to say I didn't keep up with Discovery. I mean, I did dip back in occasionally just to see how it was going and I still didn't like it. But when the first series of Picard came out, I was all up in that. I was like, oh yeah, finally we're gonna have something that it's a bit more Star Trek-y and continues on from where Nemesis left off, and it wasn't bad per se in my opinion. It was boring. 10-hour-long episodes to have the content of maybe a 2-hour movie, and also the whole attempting to subvert expectations. No. I mean, the bit where Seven plugs into the Borg cube, and she's like, we are Borg, and then all the drones get sucked out into space. Anyway, that's not why I'm here. After forcing myself to finish season 1 of Picard just to see how it went, I kind of gave series 2 a skip, and then when you had Prodigy and Lower Decks be announced, I didn't have much hope for them. Prodigy looked like a kiddie attempt at a Clone Wars clone, and Prodigy just looked like they were trying to make Star Trek into Rick and Morty. Then finally season 3 of Picard gets announced, and this is why I wanted to make this video, because again I was like, okay, so they've got all the original cast back, they're just pandering, they're trying to bait and switch people into watching it, and then it's gonna go ahead with some really random ass story. And then I watched a clip on YouTube of the Titan leaving space dock, and it was evoking classic Trek, like when the Enterprise used to leave space dock, but it wasn't aping it, it wasn't copying it, and I really liked it. Everything just kind of felt right. So after probably too much deliberation, I've decided to give the first episode of season 3 a go, and honestly I was blown away. It was incredibly good, but I wasn't keeping my hopes up. After all, season 1 of Picard started really strong and then just fell off a cliff. But then Terry Matalas managed to land it every single week, and my hope was reinvigorated, so I considered giving other new Trek shows a go. So I started off with Prodigy, because that seemed like the one I had least of a problem with. And one of my biggest problems with the whole Discovery-verse is the fact that they had that visual reboot and completely changed the tone of Star Trek. But Prodigy followed the visual language and tone that you would expect from Star Trek, while forging out its own identity, which is exactly what, we would want. We don't want to wallow in nostalgia. Yes, we like some nods back to the older Treks, and moreover, consistency going back. If you're going to recreate the Enterprise, then you show what we know the Enterprise to look like. And the only reason that's such a bugbear for me is that previous series went to so much effort to recreate the sets and the visual effects and everything. Yes, I'm looking at you, DS9. And Enterprise, and then the Discovery-verse didn't. And I know you've got the whole license issue going on with CBS and Paramount and whatnot, which is resolved now, but they shouldn't have made a new Star Trek if things were in that bad of a state where they couldn't work out the licenses to have, it be Star Trek. Anyway, I ended up liking Prodigy much more than I thought I would, and so I took the dive, and I gave the Rick and Morty wannabe a go. And I was wrong. It's not a Rick and Morty knockoff. It's silly, yes. It's kind of got a dumb tone to it, but the way the series is made, it kind of shows that the demeanor of officers and that we're used to is on the capital ships, is on the first contact ships, like the Enterprise, the Titan, the hero ships, whereas the California class and ones like it are support ships. And there's actually a reference in one of the episodes to the Birth class being much like the Cali class, which I really appreciated. And other than a few silly bits which were kind of out of left field and did feel like somebody was trying to ape Rick and Morty, Lower Decks actually had a hell of a lot of heart and fit kind of snugly in as sort of an adjacent to the ongoing Star Trek universe. But then we come to the elephant in the room. Discovery, Strange New Worlds, and the newly announced Starfleet Academy and Section 31. I've seen bits of Strange New Worlds, and yes, the writing does seem much more on par with what I'd expect from Star Trek, but they've still got the aesthetic of Discovery going forward, and it ties directly into Discovery, as will Starfleet Academy and Section 31. And now, with what's happened, especially in Picard Season 3, and also Prodigy and Lower Decks, they've re-established the iconic, classic visual language of Star Trek. For God's sake, they actually recreated a proper Connie for Picard Season 3, and that, short of if you want to say that Pike's Enterprise gets a refit to make it look older than what he's currently got, the two just don't gel anymore, and it becomes increasingly apparent that the Discoverse, Discovery, Strange New Worlds, Starfleet Academy, and Section 31 exist in their own bubble. They exist in their own universe, as I say, the Discoverse. And then you've got Picard, Prodigy, Lower Decks, and hopefully Star Trek Legacy. Please, for the love of God, give time to tell us Legacy. Is the continuation of the classic universe. And that's how I kind of see it now, is that this is how I watch Star Trek in 2023. I'm going to ignore Discovery, Strange New Worlds, Section 31, and Starfleet Academy, and also I'm going to take Captain Shaw's advice, God rest his soul. God, I love Shaw as a character, and just forget about all that bullshit that happened on Stargazer, and treat Season 1 like it happened off-screen. Like, Picard and Beverly go through a whole bunch of Picard adventures that happened off-screen after Nemesis, and I'm going to treat Season 1 as that, basically, if for no other reason than to skirt around all the continuity issues, such as the Strange New Worlds Enterprise appearing in a hologram in Starfleet Command. Yes, like I say, I'm a bit of a Starship nerd, and I like everything to line up nicely. Anyways, this was just a little bit of a rant about how I'm justifying what in the Star Trek universe I watch now, and it's probably of no importance to anyone, but if you think that the Discoverse is a thing and is separate from the classic universe, then be sure to let me know down in the comments below. Please, for the love of God, no hate, because I've had people coming at me on Twitter before about this kind of opinion, when I'm perfectly happy for the Discoverse to exist, but have the continuity of the classic universe continue on into the future in the classic universe, you know. Anyway, it's late and I should probably stop talking, because this is the first proper video I've done on this channel for 5 years or something, and it's probably not going to come off well to new people watching. So see you next time.